Sports TV, man. That's my dude. I rolls with him.
You heard what the man said. It's Flight Sports TV.
Like I said, Flight Sports TV, that's where it's at.
Flight Sports TV.
Shout out to Flight Sports TV, the machine, the voice of the voiceless, the people's champ, the hottest in these streets. Shout out to the panel. Shout out to the chat. And most of all, if it wasn't for all of y'all pulling up the Flight Sports TV, I don't know where I would be right now. So big ups to any and everybody pulling up to Flight Sports TV on this night crawl. We want to recognize all the first responders. We want to recognize all the military brats. We want to recognize all of the truck drivers counting them zippers and moving that freight and making the world go round. Shout out to all the train conductors and the pilots that fly you back and forth, red eye, nonstop, or multiple stop, but yet get you to your destination. And this is why you are available tonight here at Flight Sports TV. And if you want to continue your due diligence, I suggest you hit the like bell. The like button. Hit the subscribe. Please subscribe. I mean, listen, Flight has a wealth of content in that vault, that treasure trove. So hit the subscribe button. Be a part of something special. And most definitely hit that notification bell so you won't miss one iota of an exuberant experience. And with all said and done, we want to humbly thank Flight for inviting us to a front row seat to witness this extravaganza. I hope everybody is feeling good about themselves. I hope everybody is prayed up, blessed up, and receiving their abundance in various ways. My abundance is mine and your abundance is yours. I hope everybody is celebrating all their gains and wishing on themselves and wishing on their fellow human that which they enjoy themselves. As long as we're not transgressing. As long as we are not transgressing. It's all good, baby. It's all good. Listen, we come off the heels of some Great information that was disseminated this past week. We have Noah Lyles dominating in the World Championships track and field. We have Sakari Richardson dominating in track and field in the World Championships. And congratulations to both of these stand up Americans. Trey Lyles has his story. I mean, Noah Lyles, excuse me, not Trey Lyles. Trey Lyles basketball for Sacramento Kings, Kentucky finest. Not Trey Lyles, Noah Lyles. And we appreciate his backstory of being a dominant in the 200 meters, yet people counted him out for the 100 meters, and he dominated that in American fashion. Sakari Richardson, beautiful sister. Yeah, she had her ghetto moments. She had her 15 minutes of fame, and it evaporated. It evaporated as soon as she was receiving it. She got caught up in the moment and kind of got sidetracked, lost focus of the main thing, and she found herself disqualified to participate in the past Olympics. And a lot of people counted her out, but she never counted herself out. Her and her mom counted herself in. And boy, is that a redeeming moment. Is that a fantastic story to be able to share with the world her ability to demonstrate resound, resilience, and rebound, all in one journey. She never fell on her sword. She never bowed her head in disgrace. She stayed confident. Some say too confident. And she stayed ambitious. And that led her to be a world champion in track and field, a sport that she had adorned since a little girl. And what makes this a special moment is that she beat out two outstanding competitors in Price and Jackson, who have dominated the sport in recent years. And they are from the wonderful island of Jamaica. Jamaica man, blood clot Babylon. And she overcame that powerful Jamaican swag to become champion in 2023. The USA men's basketball select team hurled as the kids. They are undefeated. I assume 5-0 under Hall of Fame coach Steve Kerr and company. And they're whipping tail. The cardiac kids are whipping tail. Some of them we know and some of them we don't know. But as a collective, those U.S. young men basketball members of the select team on an international run and exhibition games are undefeated. And we saw the heroics of Anthony Edwards of yesterday's game against Germany, or day before yesterday, rather, or this last week against Germany. And we know Germany are really hurled as the smartest white people on earth. Yes, Germany has been hurled as the smartest white people on earth. And a lot of technology and engineering comes from German minds. Einstein, Tesla. No, not really Tesla, but you get my point. The Oppenheimers of the world, the Warner Van Brauns of the world, and there's many more. So we had a lot of news and sports news outside of that California hurricane that had people clapping, had people cheering. And at the same time, the opposite part of sports dynamic, you had people sad, you had people crying, you had people disappointed. As one celebrated victory, the other failed to defeat. These two polar opposite emotions combined in sports, which make it so fantastic. And so it is incumbent of me to highlight such activity as we get into the main topic of the day. I also want to mention, my Dodgers, my Los Angeles Dodgers. Boy, are they kicking butt. And that Mookie Betts, FBA, Mookie Betts, FBA, Foundational Black American, at a prominence in his career, leading a team, the Los Angeles Dodgers, who have been championed by Caucasian and Hispanics alike. And Hispanics have come on strong as Dodger fans. And once again, Dodgers are one of the top teams in attendance, as in yesteryears, they have always led in attendance. I'm not quite sure they lead in attendance this year, but so far, since the Lakers been playing well, and you got the LA Galaxy been playing well, so you have a lot of well playing professional sports in the LA market, and sometimes that take away from the baseball fans because they're so busy cheering for their perspective sport, and a lot of energy is going towards them, and so they don't have the energy to go towards the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Rams, we know, is kind of somewhat in shambles, even though they come off a Super Bowl a couple of years past. So LA is championship city, you know. It's one of the top sports cities in America when it comes to winning for the millions of people that resides in that area. And one of Southern Cal finest, especially coming through high school, Chino Hills, Lonzo Ball. And we got a lot to dig in on this Lonzo Ball topic. A lot of what Lonzo had mentioned, we have already shared, and most of it we have disseminated throughout the stream since his injury. But it's good to hear it from him. So a lot of you guys may think we're just conjuring up something just to keep the fans excited and keep the channel on track. But if you could remember, a lot of things that Lonzo mentioned, we already spoke about on Flight Sports TV. We already shared that with you. But it sounds much better coming from him, right? Because he is the horse And we were the extension of the horse in placating the proper narrative that he will be back. And if you heard the way he spoke with sheer confidence. And he couldn't wait till Trey Young asked him about his rehabilitation. He was itching for Trey Young to get to that. And Trey Young, the maestro that he is on the court, was an even better maestro in his podcast or on his podcast as he directed that interview perfectly. And he wasn't overly anxious to get to the crux of why he wanted to interview his agent mate. Clutch sports clients engaging in meaningful banter. He was able to get out of Zoe a lot of seamless expressions. And I'm quite sure if the interview was longer, I believe Lonzo wouldn't have mind. He wouldn't have mind one bit if the interview was 30 minutes longer. Or it could have been longer. They might have edited and chopped it up a little bit. But the way Lonzo was so poised, and we heard from the naysayers, we heard from the trolls, we heard from the haters, we heard from those who offer misinformation, and we heard from the psyops who offer disinformation. How Lonzo's career was over. Oh, he's never coming back. That's his last day in the Bulls uniform. He will never play basketball again. Oh. Instead of offering up a prayer like we here at Flight Sports TV suggested, they wanted to crash down on the brother. And boy, did they crash down. They had an opportunity to twist up everything about the unfolding events of Lonzo injury, surgery, repair, and rehabilitation. You saw the man glowing. He didn't look sad or depressed. Lonzo Anderson Ball looked very enthusiastic and very content on the way his rehabilitation is coming. We already told you here at Flight Sports TV that he's ahead of schedule. He was off crutches way ahead of schedule. Now he have teased us with some similitude of his athleticism by releasing videos where he's dunking the ball with ease. But that doesn't give him game speed ability. That's just him playing at his pace. That's him practicing at his pace. That's him showing us at his pace. There's nobody pushing him. There's nobody holding him back. But at the same time, those trolls, naysayers, haters didn't even recognize that he had that much ability and mobility within his athleticism. They just seemed like that didn't exist. So they overlooked it on purpose. It wasn't an oversight. It was intentional overlook. It was an anticipated ignoring of his stage of rehabilitation. And shame on him for that. Shame on him for that. But it's all good because I'm telling you, when Zoe comes back, he's going to break the internet. You're going to see a lot, not all, but most flip flop, especially those fake Bull fans. Not all Bull fans, but a lot who wanted him traded, who wanted him out of Bulls uniform, couldn't wait for the Chicago Bulls to file and apply for the salary cap exemption, injury exemption. Couldn't wait because to them, it decried Lonzo on his way out. And when we see people of his peers, not us, we're the fans, but people of his peers, or players of his peers, talk about how ingenious and how steady and calm he is, and how he is the missing link. Not to Darwinism, not that missing link. I'm talking about the missing link to the Bulls being a play-in team, a first round exit by getting hammered, or a really competitive contender fighting for the crown of the Eastern Conference. And now, since Golden State is no longer that potent team that you can practically pencil in as 50% representation of the NBA Finals, the West is open. The East is open. We thought that the Milwaukee Bucks would dominate the East for years. Oh my God, how far were we from the truth? How far were we from the truth? We honestly thought Giannis, Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, Bobby Portis, and company. You could even throw Brook Lopez in there. We thought that team would dominate the East for years. Boy, were we mistaken. Nobody has dominated the East. It's been Milwaukee, yes. It's been Boston, yes. And now, out of nowhere, come a bunch of undrafted players playing with two All-Stars, crush the East last season in that phenomenal run to the NBA Finals. The Miami Heat got crushed by the Atlanta Hawks in the play-in game, the first play-in game. They got crushed by the Atlanta Hawks, Trae Young and company, the guy that interviewed Lonzo. And then somehow, some way, those Miami Heat, led by the edicts of Pat Riley and and sideline general Eric Spoelstra and floor general Jimmy Buckets Butler, made a historic run to the NBA Finals. Now, in years past, in the late 90s, the Miami Heat were a victim of a number one seed being defeated by an 8 seed. And then here we come full circle. Miami is a surprise victor as an 8 seed over the number one seed. And man, did they pound that number one seed. Oh my goodness. Listen, Giannis ain't never got whipped like that. And when the reporter tried to ask Giannis about this butt whooping, Giannis chided that reporter. It was nice in a way. I mean, it was nice as you can be as a Greek, as a Nigerian, I guess. But we know that Giannis was really pissed when that reporter asked that question to him. And the way he responded demonstrated the emotional trauma that he was undergoing after what Jimmy Buckets and the casuals did to him. Unbelievable. 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 So here we are. NFL is gearing up. I don't know if anybody watched the game tonight, but I put a wager on it. And I haven't even checked my ticket to see if I won. I mean, I put a lot of money down tonight. I hope the Commanders won. If the Commanders won, your boy is rubbing his hands like Birdman. I'm rubbing my palms together, up and down like Birdman, if the Commanders won. Because I'm rocking with Magic. You know, the Commanders is playing for something, not the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens, I know it's the that little tri-state area down there, right at the Macy-Dixon line, the DMV, Washington versus Baltimore. I know that is highly contested because they want bragging rights. But we know the flock is not flocking in this preseason game. So I said, they don't have nothing to prove in preseason. Baltimore don't have nothing to prove in preseason. Washington do. New ownership, new direction. So the Commanders is playing for more than pride. They're playing for showmanship. They're playing for bragging rights in the DMV. So hopefully the Baltimore Ravens see it the way I see it. Just show up, escape without injury, and just let Washington have it. And poor old all access decks can rake in some big bucks if the Washington Commanders can hold off the flock. I mean, for crying out loud, a couple of years ago, they didn't have a name. They was a football team. I mean, give them something. Can we get something over there with the Washington Commanders? I mean, the name Commanders itself is a military expression, right? Can the Commanders shoot down the birds? I'm saying yes. And if they do, oh boy, if they do, I will be raking it the dough, and I will be happy for Monday until the next time I put down another wager. You know how that goes, roller coaster, up and down. But I am betting Washington Commanders because it's only preseason. I would never do it in the regular season because I know Lamar Jackson and company is on a revenge tour. He don't like how the season ended, even though they was in the playoffs. He was hurt. He couldn't do his thing. It was a lot of mistrust, distrust. And he felt that the Baltimore Ravens were not being loyal to him in everything that he brought to the team, coming off of the disaster of having Joe Flacco as a quarterback, even though he lucked up and won a Super Bowl against the San Francisco 49ers. They almost lost the Super Bowl. Because when those lights went out in that stadium, the lights came on for Colin Kaepernick and the 49ers, and they almost came back to win that Super Bowl. But they didn't. And Joe Flacco has a ring. So when all that was over, you had a new rising star coming out of Louisville and Lamar Jackson. And Lamar Jackson showed his ass. But some people say he was a one-hit wonder. He could not duplicate or replicate that kind of performance again because teams now have tape on Lamar Jackson. And the tape that they have on Lamar Jackson, they feel that they can box him in. And listen, we know the GM, DC, didn't really do Lamar Jackson any favors because for years, they sold Lamar Jackson to the NFL fan base as a sideshow. And they raked in the dough with Lamar Jackson because a lot of us felt that he's going to repeat or beat the phenomenal Mike Vick. And so they sold him to us as a sideshow because they never gave him the qualifying pieces that was needed with Lamar Jackson talent to get him over the hump. You see how they're doing Josh Allen over there. You see how they even did Johnny Manziel for crying out loud. Baker Mayfield. They was steady throwing pieces over there to help these cats. And they just couldn't get the job done. But when it came to Lamar Jackson, they went through a wooden nickel. They were just trying to get it out the draft. They wasn't even trying to really go after free agents. I mean, they did draft well. They got Mark Andrews. I mean, they did well with him. But a lot of the other draft picks, especially at the skill positions, it was it was meh. It was mid. And the reason why a lot of them got the opportunity to become celebrity in a Raven uniform, being amongst the flock, is because of Lamar Jackson. What is this guy going to do with Lamar Jackson, right? I'm talking about the skill positions. Even their line was busted. And Lamar had to run for his life damn near every down. They did the same thing with Michael Vick. But even further than that, they did the same thing with Fran Tarkenton. At one point, Steve Young was the same way when he played with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Most people look at Steve Young as a 49er, but they forget all about he was a Tampa Bay Buccaneer running for his life until he became a 49er. And the structure, the offensive structure was much improved. And then you saw Steve Young become a Hall of Famer. But at one point, it looked like Steve Young was going to bust out. Like, this dude ain't going to make it in the NFL. You know, coming off a brilliant college career at Brigham Young. And that's how it seems to be trending towards Lamar Jackson until Mama come in. And Mama coming, she pointing her fingers. She telling, this is my boy. You ain't going to run my boy into the ground. You better pay. If you want to run my boy out there like that, you better pay. If you want the people to see my boy with the flock, you better pay. And boy, did she negotiate that contract. Did she negotiate that contract? Go on, sister. Is that black girl magic or what? So yeah, that's where we're at now. Baltimore Ravens versus the Washington Commanders. And if Washington can hold off, I don't know. I'm scared to look at the results. I will be a happy man. Yes, sir. All access will be a happy man. I don't know how y'all feel about that NFL, but I like it. I like it. You know, Lonzo Ball played football. He could have been a quarterback. You know that, right? If he would have pursued football. But he wanted to focus on basketball. He could have been a quarterback. He probably could have been a wide receiver because you know he's fast. You know he got them jets when you really want to use them. Just imagine if Lonzo was a football player. How would that name fit? Lonzo Ball under center. Or Lonzo Ball for the deep pass. And he catches it and he runs it to the touchdown. Touchdown, Lonzo Ball on an 80-yard touchdown reception as he ran past the defense. And boy, did he get up under that ball. How would that dynamic be? If he was either a quarterback or wide out. Now, I know he's kind of tall, right? He's that Peyton Manning height, right? That Paul McGuire height. You know, he's taller than Ryan Leaf. I think Ryan Leaf was about 6'4". But still, tall quarterback. Big Ben, Ryan Leaf, uh, and you know, Chad Pennington, and the line just goes on and on. Could you imagine him under center for some NFL team chunking that ball? Or could you imagine him in a skill position, either on the outside because he's too tall to play in the slot position? So he'd probably be outside. Would he be a possession receiver? Would he be a speed receiver? Would he be a number one? Would he be a number two? Could you imagine what Lonzo Ball would have been if he decided to play football instead of basketball? He also played baseball. Could you imagine him throwing a 94-mile-an-hour fastball? Because that's probably would have been a pitcher at that height. You know, the Randy Johnsons, the Roger Clemens. You know, a lot of tall pitchers. Most of those tall pitchers throw heat. They don't play around. Lonzo from the stretch, 3-2 count, bottom of the ninth. Dodgers up 4-3 over the Yankees. And you have Aaron Judd up to bat with a runner on second in scoring position. And this is the final game of the World Series. You think Lonzo strike out Aaron Judd? Do you? Or do you think Aaron Judd blasts Lonzo? Both of them are California kids. Take Lonzo deep and end up winning a game in the World Series for the arch nemesis, the Bronx Bombers, New York Yankees. Or do Lonzo Ball throw that 95-per-hour fastball right down the pike and Judge swings with all the might and he misses it and the Dodgers are the champs and Lonzo is most valuable player of the World Series with a phenomenal strikeout to win and take a World Series from the Yankees? Could you imagine Lonzo Ball being a pitcher for the Los Angeles Dodgers in a World Series versus the Yankees? How stellar would that be? Because Lonzo did grow up playing baseball, football, basketball. That is not uncommon. A lot of athletes have cross sports ability. That's not uncommon. But do you think Lonzo would have been just as popular? You think Lonzo would have been just as successful playing any other sport other than basketball? That remains to be seen. But we do know he has been a marquee player for the Chicago Bulls. And boy, do the NBA miss Lonzo's presence as a Chicago Bull. Not only do the NBA miss it, because the NBA is better when Chicago's good, right? I mean, Chicago just had that luster about itself. It's cold, it's windy, it's hard. The people are hard, except for some of those phony Bull fans. For the most part, because I be in Chicago. I used to frequent Chicago often, and they don't play. So a lot of these content creators you see representing Chicago, that's not Chicago. I mean, I can tell the way they talk. That's not Chicago. They don't have the slang. They don't have the pizzazz. They don't even have the dress. Because some Chicago cats dress. Even when they're wearing Bulls attire, they dress. You could just tell. So I don't know where these guys are from. I'm not saying they're not from Illinois. They might could be from Des Plaines. I don't know. It might be from Bloomington. I don't know. They might be from Aurora. I don't know. But I'm talking Chicago. I'm talking about West Side, South Side, North Side, East Side. East Side of Chicago. I mean, I don't know. Is that more Italian than anything? Is it more Jewish than anything? No. Maybe that's where some of these cats are from. I don't know. But it ain't like they from the heart of the city. I could tell. I feel their energy. And it ain't the same energy I feel when I'm walking up and down Chi-Town. Whether it's the South Side or the West Side. It's just a different vibe, a different vernacular they use. There's certain tangible colloquialism that is being espoused by these men and women in Chi-Town because it's a hard city. It's a lot of steel in Chicago. Like somewhat to New York and Boston. There's a lot of steel right in the city, right in the streets. It's a lot of steel. And you don't get that in LA. There ain't no steel in LA. None at all. You don't ride down the street and got to go between two steel pillars up underneath a bridge that a subway is hurling through the city, making all that damn noise. You don't get that. So the viciousness of the architectural plan and the way Chicago is laid out and designed, they're a different kind of people. They're a different breed. And if they smell softness in you or on you, you're a part of the menu in Chirac. That's a fact. You're part of the menu, partner. So I don't know where some of these guys come off as content creators for the Bulls, unless I just haven't seen the real hardcore Bull, the real hardcore ones that's going to give it to you the way it's supposed to be given to you, not placate some fallacy. And the ones I came across, love them some Lonzo Ball. They still talk Lonzo Ball. And if they find out you from Cali, especially from Southern Cali, what's up with Lonzo? What they saying? What's going on? They want to know. Because they know that he's a straw that stirs the drink. He's the key, that skeleton key. I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember the skeleton key. The skeleton key was that key that fits in all of the locks in the house. That one key in every door. So when you lock your room door and your mom want to come in and check and see if you cleaned your room, she ain't got to knock on the door for you to open. Now, if she wants to do it out of respect, she can. But she'll put that key in, she'll turn it and unlock your door with that skeleton key. And that's what Lonzo Ball have been for the Chicago Bulls. That skeleton key that unlocks all the freaking doors, even the rusty locks. Even the rusty locks. And now the NBA, in his absence, have noticed a big difference. I mean, Lonzo Ball versus LaMelo Ball, that was a marquee matchup every year, twice a year. That was a highly visible game that attracted core fans of the NBA and even casual fans of the NBA to see two brothers go at it. And the dynamic was, as Lonzo was a Chicago Bull, even though as a Pelican it showed it too, but as Lonzo as a Chicago Bull with that kind of a roster and that kind of atmosphere, See Red Nation, and LaMelo Ball over here under the guidance and direction of Michael Jordan, who's a former Bull, who put Chicago Bull on the championship map and made Chicago Bull a championship legacy team with 6 championships, 2 three-peats. Not 1, 2 three-peats. Salute to you, Flight.
What's good, Dax? Appreciate you for stopping by with us, man. You know, it was a legendary evening tonight. Salute to everybody in the chat. We had so much stuff going on. You know, it was a lot of Lonzo Ball talk today. You know, he finally broke his silence. You know, I know that sent a lot of shockwaves through a lot of people. They were surprised to see Lonzo Ball speak. We haven't heard him speak in this magnitude in so long. It's been a very long time since Lonzo was so open, you know, and was so, you know, he revealed a lot. You know, a lot of people may have been shocked with the revelations that was made, including myself. I was definitely, you know, very surprised. Lonzo said a lot, man. We discussed that Lonzo and the Fred Vincent situation. We already was a few days ahead of this talk that he was going to have with Trae Young. We was on top of it. I was not surprised at all by some of the things that he said. And to be honest with you, a lot of the news that was broken, we said here at Flight Sports a long time ago. And I know sometimes we got selective amnesia, but we may have to check the catalog. Just like Dex said, there's a wealth of content here at Flight Sports. And if you do your homework, you'll see that we've been discussing these things for a very, very, very long time. Lonzo Ball obviously is going to be out this season. We know that. We know what he meant to Chicago. Obviously, he spoke on the organization supporting him. No other team gave him the keys like the Chicago Bulls did. It seemed like everything that he went through his professional career, obviously before the professional career, but if we want to discuss a lot from the Lakers on, a lot of the trials and tribulations that he went through the coaching staff, through, you know, LeBron James and company, a whole regime change in Los Angeles. And it was pressure on those young players. Trust me, before they was moved, it was heat on them. They got moved in the offseason. If we remember, that trade deadline was crazy. You know, they didn't know if they were staying or going, you know, and he overcame that. He got traded. None of them was happy, including B.I. They wasn't happy leaving Los Angeles, but they made what's best for them. And then Lonzo Ball made the move of all moves. You know, if Lonzo was really complacent and a lot of the things that people may say about him, he would have possibly re-signed with New Orleans. He wasn't happy in New Orleans. He felt like he clearly wasn't a part of the organization. It's not even about what he felt like. I remember a lot of the rumblings that Mr. David Griffin was speaking on. David Griffin never really believed in Lonzo Ball. He never really allowed Lonzo Ball to fully blossom for whatever reason. But that's on him. And the New Orleans Pelicans is kind of on a treadmill state because they're waiting on the services of Zion Williamson. No point guard in the NBA, no matter who the hell they have on this roster. They drafted some fools. Nobody can maximize Zion like Lonzo Ball could, and Zion knew that. Zion wanted Lonzo there, but it is what it is. Everything that he went through prepared him, to be the player that he is today. And he is very optimistic, about his recovery. And that was one of the best things that I took away from this, 30 plus minute sit down with Trae Young. I liked it, in my humble opinion. I just really, the main takeaway from it is Lonzo Ball is going to be very rejuvenated when he takes the floor. He's going to have a newfound sense of, just love for the game. Obviously, he never lost it, but what should I say? An appreciation, because like I said, we know it's crazy. But Lonzo did say, hopefully this is the last surgery that he'll ever have for a very long time. The doctors didn't know what was going on, but clearly they found out what the hell is happening. And I believe this surgery, like I said before, is going to address the things that we all want. We all want Lonzo back on the floor at the end of the day. People don't just go under the knife for no reason. Lonzo Ball did everything it took to get on the floor. But he has some setbacks. But this surgery with increased time, clearly, I like what AK said. And Lonzo, like I said, he backed AK in this interview. It was no bad vibes, nothing towards Chicago, and which we all knew. We all know that team was built around Lonzo Ball. Obviously, Zach was there. But Lonzo Ball was supposed to enhance that whole entire organization, and he did while he was there. I mean, just do your homework on the just small fraction, of games that he was able to play for Chicago. But it was so immense because they clearly missing him. Everybody down from AK, Zach, DeMar to Andre Drummond, they all know the importance of Mr. Lonzo Ball. And like I said, he will return, ladies and gentlemen. Anybody who believes that Lonzo won't be back, you're really tricking yourself. Lonzo will return to the game of basketball, and he will dominate. He will get better. These are the things that I heard, and key takeaways from the conversation. Lonzo Ball is not only looking to come back, but he's looking to come back better. He's working on ways to make sure he can improve despite being in the situation that he's currently in. Lonzo will rise again. I guarantee you that. Dex, what were some of the key takeaways that you took away from Lonzo Ball? Did you take away the optimism that I took away from him when he was discussing his recovery and getting back on the floor?
Yeah, Lonzo seemed to be very enthusiastic about his rehab, and the way that he was posturing, Flight, it seems that Lonzo know that next season, when it begins, he will be geared up full throttle to tackle all opponents coming his way.
You goddamn right. Just like he was tackling them while he was there. And I believe that, and I said this to everybody, that Lonzo Ball, he has earned the right. And I know AK too. A lot of crazy sick Bulls fans are looking to dispatch and move on. But this team earned the right to see it through when everybody's healthy. I believe deep down that AK is patiently waiting for next season when Lonzo gets back to really see what the hell this team is all about. The team that he constructed. Everybody got cheated here. We know Lonzo Ball, the situation they didn't know, they couldn't pinpoint exactly what the hell was going on. Obviously AK put together a beautiful roster that I believe he was in the running for executive of the year. He was going to win something. Bulls was going to do something, and everything went to shambles. DeMar the MVP, it was just the perfect Cinderella season. It came crashing down, and Lonzo Ball knows that what it could have been, and it could have been something special. I believe it could have been a conference finals berth. I think it definitely would have been a higher seed. I'm not going to say they was going to mess around and win the whole goddamn championship, but I do believe they was going to make a serious playoff run. And I think they would have built on that and moved on. It hurt that Lonzo couldn't even play in the postseason because he definitely helped lead that team to getting there despite only playing for a fraction of games. Lonzo Ball was a key contributor. The Bulls, they was the number one seed, and then they just went just completely just downhill, and they was just able to just salvage their season and move on and pick up the pieces. And they did end up making the postseason, but they got knocked out by the Milwaukee Bucks. Give them credit, they're still reeling without Lonzo Ball this whole last season that just passed. Now they got to go another season, and they don't have the answers. They tried to add some Band-Aids, but there's without Lonzo, the team is not going to be right. And I do believe that Lonzo will return next season with the Chicago Bulls. And I think we're going to really get a chance to see what that roster was really going to do, because it's truly unfortunate what happened to the Bulls and him. But he is seeming to be solidified with Chicago. I didn't hear any inklings of Lonzo seeming to be unhappy, looking for a change. He didn't even hint at that. Give credit to Trae Young and his team over there, because they didn't ask any crazy questions that could have led to, something else, because how sometimes these interviewers do, especially with Lonzo Ball. Who knows what they could have said. But Lonzo discussed a lot. He also discussed, his relationship with obviously his brothers. We all know what's going on with G3, what's going on with LaMelo. There's a lot going on. Lonzo obviously was the big brother. He led the way for both of them, so he got the game from LeVar himself. Give credit to LeVar Ball. Every chance the Ball brothers get, they definitely pay homage to the family, but definitely LeVar. We was able to get even more insight on LeVar Ball and basically the mastermind, behind all of this stuff, the architect, basically just molding these kids, at a young age, running hills at a young age, film at a young age, just a basketball background. Lonzo Ball was born to be, one of the elite point guards in the world. And like I said, injuries, has just paused. I'm not even going to say derailed. It's just paused. Was the inevitable. But when he gets back, wherever he is, he will be dominant, and I believe it will be Chicago. Dex, when Lonzo Ball does return, do you believe it will be with Chicago? Do you believe that he has earned the right to see this thing through with his organization?
Well, I definitely believe, but I don't know, because you never know how the landscape will change or who will offer what for him, and will Chicago go for it? You know what I'm saying? So I believe that he left the door open to be on another team, because when he talked about his return, he just said with his team. He didn't say the Chicago Bulls. So you never know on that last contract what Clutch Sports got up their sleeve, because Clutch Sports already have the wheel of destiny set up for Lonzo Ball coming off that injury. And Lonzo looked really strong. He doesn't look whimpered or weak. He looked very strong, that he just ready to come out and just animal the NBA once again. Also, I noticed that Trey Young was just like fascinated. Like, come on, dude, you guys work out together sometimes. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah. Trey was fanned out. You think?
Yeah, a little bit. Especially when he went reminiscing
Yeah, he said I
about
looked
the
up to you.
about the
You're a year
old
older
days.
than me. He said you was a year older than me.
Yeah,
You heard about him?
but that's what we try. People be trying to pump fake a lot. If this is a Trey Young, he's out in Oklahoma, and he's a star in his own right. And he said he's looking at the pages and he's seeing the Ball brothers.
Yeah. So you already
He didn't
know
make
this.
no bones about it either. Straight up, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
Tell it.
so a lot of people try to downplay it, you know, and try to separate it and try to separate LaMelo from the pack. You know what I'm saying? Which was so idiotic to me. I mean, people went for it like dumbasses, jackasses as they were. They actually went for that narrative that there is no association. And Lonzo also state that we talk every day, me and LaMelo. We talk every day, but we don't talk basketball. We just talk about a whole bunch of other stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I'm quite sure some of that is relationship talk, you know,
Yeah.
because when you look at Lonzo, you can see that he's pretty cool hand Luke when it comes to relationship. And his experience started out before LaMelo's experience, especially being serious, you know. And I think LeVar and Lonzo, probably put in LaMelo ear, look, man, just get you somebody and kick it. You don't have to be over here trying to touch on everything that's moving. You know what I'm saying? And don't act like if you saw a pig with a wig, you're going to dig. And just get something solid and be comfortable with it and work through whatever highs and lows that you're going to go through because human beings have frailties. Human beings have flaws. And human beings have been raised differently in different households. So you have to work through all that. And by Lonzo looking like he's a cool hand Luke when it comes to relationship, I'm quite sure that he kind of steward LaMelo and some of that as a confidant to his little brother, just like my older brother did me. Same dynamic, My older brother did me because they was in relationships before I started really getting into relationships, And once I started, then they don't want their younger brother to be, a lame, a simp, or whatever you want to call it. They're gonna give you some game. Look out for this, look out for that, work through this, work through that. If she does this, then it's a winner. If she does that, she's a keeper. But if she do that, nah, man, you gotta let it go. Or if she do this, nah, man, you can't accept that. You gotta check that early. You know what I'm saying? So in all of the facets of information that he may have, according to his own experiences, I'm quite sure he shared that with his younger brother.
Right. I completely agree with you, Dak. Shout out Uncle Vern. I see Uncle Vern in the building. Was good.
I know what's good, Flight. What's going on, Dex? Hey, Flight. I didn't get a chance to get a chance after I sent you on. I didn't get a chance to go back and watch this. What you talking about, though? But I'm gonna have to, though. I'm gonna make a minute, take a minute to go back and watch it, though. I didn't know what was going on with this until you just now break this to the news. But it looked good. It sound real good. I just can't wait till Zoe get back, though. Flight. That's it. That's all, man. I don't know what to say and even how to say it. Melo holding his own. He keeping everything in order. You know what I'm saying? But man, I can't wait till Zoe get back though. Flight. That's
Yeah.
all I can say
I
about
mean,
that situation.
yeah. Lonzo was on the podcast with Trey Young, and he discussed a lot. Obviously his return, which everybody is awaiting. So he's definitely a very optimistic. He's feeling good about his return. I didn't hear any kind of doubt or any kind of feeling like he wouldn't be back. It was all about when he get back, how he gonna feel when he hit the floor, and things of that nature.
Did he address the business brand?
What you mean?
I mean, as far as the BBB brand.
I mean slightly. I
I
mean,
thought, okay, if he spoke on it, I bet. I know. That's what I'm asking you. If he did or not, I don't know if he stayed away from it, was he talking about or what. I don't know.
no,
I'm
yeah,
talking about his brand. As far as this brand, you know what I'm saying? That's his brand. So did he address the brand issue?
Yeah, he did. He spoke on some things. He basically said what he said was that it was when he was coming out, everything was a good idea. It's just it could have been handled differently. That's what he
Right,
said.
right, exactly. But it ain't like he gonna let it go and it's just he just washed his hands of it. He ain't talking like that, right? See, I don't know Flight.
That's not what I took from it.
Okay, bet, bet.
I heard a lot about the shoes again, things of that nature. Dex, did you take away anything like that? What he's saying?
No, not necessarily. He was just basically speaking on the surface. He didn't go into any depth or details. He just saying basically they started something from T-shirts and it grew into apparel, and they didn't. That was something new to them. And Trey Young was basically shepherding the the idea of how great it was for him to come in with his own brand. And so he was just also talking about aspect of the brand that kind of went sour with the Alan Foster dynamic and his mom getting ill and things of that nature. Like I said, he didn't go into details, but basically that's what he was sharing. When he said things could have went different. Um, they didn't have a real foolproof plan because most of the things that they was doing, according to what Lonzo was espousing, that they was doing it on the fly. And so, and he also cleared up the air, which I talked about probably last year sometime, about the shoes busting up wasn't the shoes that went on the market. The shoes that was busting up was the prototype shoes. And he cleared that up with Trey Young as well. When Trey Young asked about the shoes, he was like, no, those shoes never made it to market. Those are just a prototype. And since though he wasn't ready, that's when he started wearing various shoes during that summer league. And he said he only wore those shoes that was busting up in summer league. That those shoes were not the shoes that he was actually officially wearing in league play. So he cleared that up. And I remember I shared that with somebody, and somebody was arguing with me that that wasn't the case. I can't remember who it was. Maybe it was B Morale or somebody. Somebody like was really trying to come at me hard. And now Lonzo himself said it. Those shoes that was busting up never made it to market. Those are only the prototype shoes. And that's why he stopped wearing them, because they wasn't ready. And when they got ready, then he started wearing the actual shoes again. And then those shoes went to market. So the shoes that was busting up him and the Big Baller brand never put those shoes out on the market. There was only prototypes. So he cleared the air for that. And I thank him for even sharing that information, that those shoes never made it to market. They were just only prototype for the summer league. And since they was busting up on him, he wore other name brand shoes to, in order to keep playing until his shoes actually got ready.
Right. Good call. Them shoes definitely is gonna always go down in history. They're gonna do 30 for 30s about that. They ain't gonna never keep asking questions about them sneakers. $500 sneakers send shockwaves, and people still feeling the remnants today. That's the power of Big Baller brand. And it's still going strong. Make sure you go shop at bigballerbrandinc.com. You get your latest apparel, merch, things of that nature. So much merchandise up there from various different price ranges. So Big Baller brand is still going strong. Definitely want to let everybody know that. Get your merch today. And like I said, World Tours is a movie. What you was about to say?
And he also brought up the idea of the Big Baller brand, where he messed up, Navarre messed up, and everything kind of went a little shaky. Like he was saying, he could have played, he could have did it better as a rookie to even to be a better ambassador to the brand. You know what I'm saying? Things of that nature. Now that he's older, he see the value of coming into the league with his own brand, and that's what Trey Young was so astonished up at, because Trey Young, I think he had. Do we have his own shoe yet? I'm quite sure he do now, right?
Oh, I know he got a brand. He do got his own shoe. I know he signed to an endorsement. I forgot
Right.
who he with.
Yeah, I can't think who Trey Young with either. I don't know if it's Adidas or what, but nevertheless, so he knows the importance of how grand it was to come in with your own brand, and you had celebrity, and you had a fan base and things of that nature, and you playing with your home team that you cheer for as a kid that drafted you. So everything seemed like the stars had aligned up, and everything LeVar told him since he was like 7, it came true. And this was Lonzo was saying. So he was sharing that. He was like, damn, man, everything my pop said came true. Whether he believed it or not, his pops believed it. And by his pops believing it, he believed it. And it actually came true. But the dream was deferred based on the scenario of the Lakers and the infighting of the Lakers and Luke Walton situation with Lonzo and LeVar. So it was a whole lot of how can I say this? Impediments. I'll put it that way. It was a whole lot of impediments that hindered the growth of the brand being more than what it is to what it could have been. And he was basically sharing that, but he never said he regretted anything. He was just saying that it could have went different if a lot of other things would have went different as well, including some lied at the foot of Lonzo himself. And then he talked about LaMelo coming in behind him with the fanfare like the LaMelo had and things of that nature. He talked about LaMelo growth spurt. That's another thing that came into a dynamic because he said when he last saw LaMelo was like 5'9", 5'10", or something like that. And then all of a sudden, this dude is almost my height. He's like 6'5". Lonzo's 6'6". LaMelo was like 6'5". After coming from overseas and things of that nature, going back to Spire. And so now, instead of being a 5'10" point guard or shooting guard, LaMelo got real promise now. Because now he's a tall guy with all of his swag. So he could imagine if everything would have went according to plan, LaMelo coming in behind him after Lonzo doing what he was doing, you know what I'm saying? Jello falling there somewhere, but LaMelo coming in from the rear, he said basically he was saying that thing could have been so humongous. It would have been crazy. It would, it wouldn't have been able to stop it. But by the things that happened with the fallout, his mom getting ill, so now she can't manage the money and manage other things that LeVar wasn't able to manage because LeVar was spearheading the promotion of it. You follow what I'm saying? So they have to fall back and give it to somebody that he thought he can trust. And you know what happened? You know how the story goes from there. So he was just basically sharing with Trey Young some of that background behind the scenes dynamic, not too much in depth, but in depth enough that most of us who already familiar with the information be like, oh, okay, I get it.
Good call, Dex. It's definitely crazy. Lonzo gonna be back though. Uncle Vern, I want to tell you something else about that interview. Lonzo Ball said that he felt sorry for the general managers out there in Chicago due to the fact that he wasn't able to play because he felt like they built the team around him. Do you think that team was built around him? Because it was times where he didn't have the ball all the time either.
Yeah, but no, it was look here, like they wanted hard to go at Lonzo because they knew what their plan was with DeRozan and with Zach LaVine. You understand me?
Not DeRozan. No, that's not true with DeRozan.
Okay, well, you think DeRozan came late? Well, DeRozan, you can say DeRozan came later on in the deal, but they was fighting.
Right, DeRozan came in at the 12th hour.
Dex, okay, look here, Dex. They was fighting. They had DeRozan in mind at least for 20 minutes.
No, that's not true.
They had DeRozan in mind at least 20 minutes before they made that agreement to get him because they've been having them.
No, you're adding.
Was out there.
No.
DeRozan was out there. Am I right or wrong?
No, yeah. DeRozan had no intentions of coming to the Bulls. DeRozan was headed to the Lakers. This is DeRozan saying this. So why are you saying something different?
What derailed
What
him?
happened
What,
was,
de-
what
what
happened was,
derailed? What derailed
don't
him?
get upset at me. I'm just
Yeah.
correcting you, but don't get upset because I know that by
No,
you
I'm
being an
not getting
older
upset
dude,
though
you
because
get
wait,
upset
first
when
of all,
younger
I'm
dudes
talking
correct.
over you, so it seems like I'm hollering. But honestly, I'm not upset. It's just upsetting that I have to holler over you to get your attention. Okay, now that I got your attention, I ask you again, what was it he was what derailed him from going to the Lakers?
Russell Westbrook that derailed him. Do you remember? Once Russell Westbrook became available, LeBron did a 180 from DeMar DeRozan and set up a meeting with Russell Westbrook and Anthony Davis at his crib.
Okay. And
And so DeRozan never got that
how long
call.
in between all that time when they was when they had Zoe that they didn't have DeRozan on the line? And who did they have on the line first? Zoe or DeRozan?
Zoe,
That's
Zoe,
okay.
Lonzo signed
Zoe was
first.
always on the line there. So Zoe knew that DeRozan was coming, right?
no, he didn't.
Oh,
He knew Alex Caruso was coming. DeRozan became available at the 12th hour. So what happened was when DeRozan became available, Acme act on it immediately and postponed the signing of Alex Caruso and went right for DeRozan. And when DeRozan found out that Lonzo is a Bull officially, he said that made a decision easy because DeRozan was looking for another tour of duty somewhere else. But he said once Lonzo was officially signed as a Bull, he said that made my decision easy. I know where I'm going now. That's DeRozan saying this. So I don't know where all this other stuff coming from.
okay. Well, you have to be right because first of all, Lonzo had got with the Bulls before DeRozan made the decision. And DeRozan came after Lonzo made the decision. So you right about that. So I agree with you. Lonzo knew. Wait. No, DeRozan knew that Lonzo was coming, but he didn't know that the Lonzo didn't know that DeRozan was coming. You're right. Because Lonzo had already made the decision. I agree with you. I apologize. Now that I think about it, that is how it went.
Salute, Uncle Vern. And
This
so even to add to
Lonzo
that,
went early. Matter of fact, Lonzo went real early. He made his decision.
of course,
Yeah,
he was cited for tampering with Lonzo.
yeah. I was under the impression that it was already understood that DeRozan was already on their way. I didn't
So
think about that.
so what happened was this. This was supposed to be their big three. Vooch, Zach, Zoe. That was supposed to be their original big three. This what Zach was selling Lonzo on. You follow what I'm saying? And by them not having any guard or point guard that can even come close to threaten Lonzo's skill, that Zach and Zoe, the two Z's, and I don't mean the sleep Z's,
Right.
we're going to run amok from that guard position. Zach a tall guard, Lonzo a tall guard. It will be unstoppable. And this was the dream that they envisioned with the Bulls. And Coach Donovan echoed this. He said, we're going to run up and down the court. So they said, who's going to sacrifice? That's what was asked to Coach Donovan. Who's going to sacrifice, Coach D? Well, the only person that's left to sacrifice will have to be Vooch out of the three. Out of the three. Because we're going to be running up and down. Hold on, let me finish.
Sacrifice. What do you mean by sacrifice?
For scoring. You know, Vooch is a scorer.
Yeah,
Vooch supposed to be 2010.
Getting the shots and his numbers, he just ain't taking advantage of them.
But what happens is if they running up and down the court, Vooch is not a runner. Vooch will be lagging. And so Coach Donovan said Vooch will get the easy three coming from the rear.
Right.
If the fast break is not there, you got Vooch coming from the rear, and they can throw it back to Vooch, and he can pop the three because he'd be wide open.
Yeah, and he does that. He does that to a certain extent. He does it frequently enough to keep.
Yeah, that's what Coach Donovan had envisioned until DeMar DeRozan came. They still played a way that Lonzo wanted them to play because if you remember that preseason, they went undefeated and it was killing teams. And in the first 4 games of the regular season, that was being replicated in a grand fashion. The first game of the season, Lonzo got the triple-double. You follow what I'm saying? And so that carried on until they met the Knicks. Once they met the Knicks, they ran into a brick wall and they lost that game. And that's when things start to shift because DeRozan whispering and Billy Donovan here, Maybe we shouldn't be running up and down the court. Maybe we kind of, slow it down a little bit and be more meticulous in our approach. But that helped only DeMar DeRozan. The reason why Zach LaVine was still fruitful is because Zach LaVine is that type of player. He's not a system player. Zach LaVine is not a system player. Zach LaVine could be wild and score any way, 3 levels.
Right.
So Zach LaVine still was able to do his thing to some degree, but the rest of the team faltered.
Right. Yeah, and
But
right to a certain degree because of the fact when Lonzo was gone, that really affected Zach LaVine's game because he's running gun like that. He running when what I'm saying Lonzo's the type of guy you really want to run a gun with like that, and the Bulls ain't got another point guard like that. You know what I'm saying?
because what made the Bulls so spectacular, if you can go back and listen to the announcers, when Lonzo was the maestro of that orchestra, what made the Bulls so dynamic was you couldn't rest. You couldn't just think that I can take it easy on defense because Lonzo's whipping that ball around the court and he ain't got no destination. Or just not no destination, wrong word. He don't have no designated player that he's whipping it to. He's whipping it to who's ever open. It could be Jones. It could be Green. It could be Vooch, Zach, Levine, White, Ayo, Crusoe. Didn't matter. Whoever's open is getting the ball. And especially if you run up and down the court, as soon as he get the ball, he looking up. And he told Trae Young the same thing. I don't practice this, man. My dad told me, when I get the ball, look up. And I've been doing it ever since. And I have no problem doing it. And Trae Young was like, wow, you don't even practice? He said, I'm the guard that score, shoot, pass, and I practice my passing. He was like, nah, man. He said, Lonzo said, you put cones in front of me, I'll look clumsy. If you put cones in front of me, I'll look clumsy. I ain't the cone guy. I'm the IQ guy. So systematically, I'm cool, but freely, I'm great. And he displayed that when he talked about the Lakers in the summer league losing their first 2 games, and then the coaches said, "Hey, Zoe, man, shit, we drafted you too, man. Open up, do your thing, man. Don't worry about no plays." And Zoe said, "What? Is that what you want me to do?" They didn't lose another game, and he got MVP. So this is what the Bulls promised him. We taking off the training wheels, though. Fly.
Oh yeah.
And you got Zach too. And all Zach want to do is just play. Zach don't want to think the game out. This is not Zach advantage. That's a disadvantage for Zach to think the game out.
Right.
He wants to be a reactionary to every dribble. Not think it out. Not an X and O's guy. Let me use my athletic ability to run up and down this court and dunk it in somebody's jaw.
Right.
That's Zach.
Yeah.
I'm going to shoot some crazy shots, but I'm going to run up and down that court. And guess what? Like you was doing with Zion, do that shit with me too. Because I can get up there just with the best of them. So don't hesitate. Throw that shit up to the corner of the backboard, and I'll go get it. And Zach proved he can go get it.
You know, he's the wrong type of player to be playing with DeRozan. They games don't match at all. It's like fire and water.
And this is what Rave, Nico, Rico, Dave James, SMG used to all complain about. When they changed up the offense and start running more of a half-court set, get the ball to half-court, the Rosen start clapping, pass it to the clapper. And everybody kind of fall back. And we would stagger DeMar DeRozan minutes with Zach, so you could always have one of those two dynamics on the court with you at all times.
Yeah.
And Billy, and Billy created his own conundrum. Listen to this. Billy Donovan created his own conundrum by allowing that style of basketball after the New York Knicks loss. He allowed that to transition into that stale basketball. And Bulls was beating who they were supposed to beat. Bulls had a favorable schedule in that first half of the season. We know that. Bulls in Milwaukee and Golden State had the three easiest schedule in that first half of that season. And the Bulls took advantage of that, which they were supposed to. But when the schedule got difficult and they still continued to run that style of offense as DeMar was in a MVP hunt, that conundrum Billy created for himself because he never went back to the style of basketball that had the Bulls as one of the top tier offense in the league, in which they were a plus 12. Listen to this. A plus 12. This is on the 96 Bulls level. This is on the 2016 Golden State level. A plus 12 in points differential in that first half of the season. And he never went back to that style. He just laid with DeMar. DeMar was a veteran. DeMar was a steady hand. DeMar been up to the Eastern Conference championship game. So he relied on DeMar too heavy and not on his coaching style. So therefore, it was cyclio of nonsense. Did you hear what I just said?
Yeah, I heard.
Basically, it was a continuation of nothing. And it showed because when they got matched up to a credible opponent, they got demolished. Not only did they get demolished, they lucky to win that one game. DeMar had to play above his head to win that one game. But then when they came home in front of C-Red Nation, it was an embarrassment. It was a real, truly embarrassment. Those two games in front of C-Red Nation. How dare you put up such a horrendous performance in the United Center, which is a championship legacy arena, against a team that's just now coming to his own. That should not have happened. They should have put so much pressure on that Milwaukee Bucks team that they should at least got a win in the United Center. This from the C-Red crowd alone should have catapulted them to victory over Giannis in the Mean Green team. But it didn't happen because Billy Donovan thought that DeMar DeRozan and his performances will hold up in the playoff when one team is focused on you night in and night out.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't going to happen.
Man, good call, Dex. You know, you made some good claims. Lonzo Ball and the Chicago Bulls going to be a threat no matter what. You know, if the Bulls could, you know, get him back and, you know, his services and shit like that. And hopefully, let's see what the team looks like, you know, around him. You know, is DeMar going to be there? Is Zach going to be there? That's going to be the $1 million questions. You know, that's just what I think. Uncle Von, where you see Lonzo Ball playing when he returns?
I said when I see Lonzo Ball doing what now, Flight?
I said that where you see Lonzo Ball playing when he gets back.
Do I see him playing? Yeah, I see him playing.
I said that where do you see Lonzo Ball playing when he returns? You see him back with the Bulls?
Yeah. Yeah, because he'd be back fulfilling that last part of that contract. I don't know I wouldn't know about re-signing again, But I see him coming back, finishing out that contract, at least finishing obligating that contract. Yeah, I see that. And then I see him coming back and having successful season. I don't see him winning no championships or nothing like that. I definitely don't see that at all. And I don't see what they're gonna do with that decision. With that situation between DeRozan and DeRozan and Zach LaVine. So that's all in the air. But I see Zoe coming back and having a good. As a matter of fact, I see Zoe coming back, finishing out just where he was when he got hurt. Before he got hurt. Yeah, that's what I see him doing. Yeah, that's what I see anyway. But they're gonna take a minute. Like you said, we got another season to go before that happens. And what they're gonna do there? See, they might make changes between now and then. They might mess around and get rid of his boy. Zach LaVine. That's his boy. I mean, DeRozan ain't his boy like that. Zach LaVine is his boy like that. So if they get rid of his boy, then I don't know if he's gonna stick around and just go with that Zach LaVine. You know what I'm saying? Um, yeah, go around with that DeRozan thing and just throwing the ball down to DeRozan. You know what I'm saying? Like it was before. That was kind of messed up. Zach LaVine being there. Zach LaVine was running and gunning with Zoe. So I see it depends on what they do with DeRozan and what they do with Zach LaVine. Like what they're gonna do with Zoe or how what he gonna do anyway. Because like I said, his contract is running around the same. He's gonna be free to move around the same time his brother's them gonna be free to move around. But what's the name? Melo just signed an extension, I think. So that changes things with them situation, but that won't change thing with Zoe's situation. He can move around. He can always go to another team. Another team, last team, they're really acting like they showed some interest in him. You understand me? With Charlotte, maybe Charlotte still had that kind of interest. You understand me? Zoe's the type of guard. Be honest with you, Zoe's the type of guard Charlotte would really be able to have because that's what he brings stability and understanding. And none of them, ain't nobody on that team got even close to it, but Melo. So hey, I'm telling you, yeah, and maybe Charlotte to try hard. They know
So
what.
Uncle Vern,
Yeah, go
do
ahead, Jack.
you believe that that's one of the reasons why LaMelo probably didn't want Scoot because he want to leave that spot open
Yeah.
just in case?
Yep, and another reason too. That's what that number two came in. Remember when he was holding on to that number two? He was holding on for Zoe. You know that, right? Yeah, you know it. It wasn't taking you long to catch on. You knew it there, but he did. I wasn't surprised. He went back and changed that number two for that number one because he knew Zoe wasn't gonna be coming back. And if you do come back, ain't nobody trying to get that number two now. That'd be right there for when Zoe come back and get it. But I wasn't surprised that he held. Listen to me, Dex. So you understand. I wasn't surprised that he held on to that number two because I know why he held on to that number two. He didn't want nobody else to get it. And I wasn't surprised that he went back to that number one because I know why he went back to that number one because ain't nobody else gonna be able to get that number two. He didn't already put his foot down. He gonna hold it down to Zoe come back and get it. And what's the name? Jello's supposed to be getting that number three. I guess as soon as that was Rozier, as soon as he gone. It all works out for the good. Who was that? Rozier got number three, Dex?
Yes, sir. Rozier was number 3.
Well, I'm telling you, numbers and all the numbers be good. So only hard part about this whole situation is getting Jello in tune with the starting five, well not just with the starting five, but getting him in tune with the team anyway. Coming off that G League thing, getting over that experience and that coaching and all that old dumb stuff. Well, I'm telling you, man. I'm looking forward for Charlotte to have some common sense, have some good sense up in that organization, Dex. I'm expecting a lot of things out of that front office. You know what I mean, Dex? More than just the players, I'm expecting some changes to be going on in that Charlotte organization. I expect them to be taking it serious like the Bulls taking their organization serious. Yes, and I think the Bulls are taking their organization very serious.
Well, one thing I can say is that the owners of the Charlotte Hornets are 2 East Coast cats, and
They're about that money.
they bought that money.
Boy, I'm telling you. Hey, boy,
They
I'm
want to
telling you.
win.
Yeah. Don't play no games. Yep, you're right. I got you. Yep. But yeah, hopefully all things will work out, Dex. I'm looking forward to that happening. But I don't see Zoe being in no Chicago for no long time. I didn't really want him out there anyway. Chicago, they Chicago got good fans though. The fans love Zoe. They love him. They got, but they just don't know what it is they got. I don't really, they appreciate him more than what they're supposed to love him. But see, they'll love him if he'd have been playing more, getting more attention and stuff like that, getting more
Uh-huh.
wins and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
but I
agree.
think they appreciate him. I know they don't love him like that, but they appreciate him though. And he's the type of player, you can't help but appreciate because you got to love his game. You really got to love his game. You got to love
And
all aspects of it because he brings a lot to the table. You know what I
and
mean?
some of them are rightfully so upset because there was a lot of investment in Zoe. They got excited again. They
Yeah,
thought that they was going to get to the mountaintop, and then all of a sudden he goes down to injury. And
right,
now where they once had the hubris and confidence in sticking their chest out as a prominent franchise went
right,
all by the wayside. And a lot of people are laughing at Chicago, and they think that they're laughing at us because of Zoe got hurt, and they laughing at us because Zoe wasn't able to make it to the finish line. So they're looking at Zoe as being injury prone, fragile, and that's a sign of weakness to them. And so they don't want to be associated with anything weak. But they know Zoe is good. They know he's a good guy. They know he's a perfect guard for Chicago. But now that he's not there, the slide has been devastating, and the NBA is laughing at Chicago, and
right.
they don't want to be laughed at. So they have
Hey,
to look
but,
at
but, but when you
who's
say they know
responsible.
all these things, but the main thing, like you said, they know this and they know that, they know one thing, but they really do know this. Injuries happen. You understand me? So
Injuries
they really
happen. I
can't.
mean, Derrick Rose, classic example, the
Right,
youngest MVP ever, right?
right,
And look what happened. He gave him that promise. He gave him that thrill. He gave them the ability to stick their chest out and then collapse. Now
I
here
agree.
come Lonzo all over again, bringing that
Uh,
same anticipation of joy and hope at the same time, and then he get injured and collapse again. How much can they stand?
yeah, I hear Oh yeah, Dex. Yeah. Um, like I said, Bulls. I don't know what to tell you. The future is bright, but it's uncertain, very uncertain,
Especially when Patrick Williams not performing. Yeah, it's uncertain.
very uncertain, and that's
Where the
not
hell
good.
is unstoppable?
Yeah, that's not good. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Unstoppable playing Xbox. Oh, he playing with Lonzo Ball.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
right. And you got Lonzo turned up to 100 on all of the slides.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, well, were you surprised that Lonzo Ball spoke?
Who, me?
Yeah,
Kind of, yeah. Yeah.
because I mean, he didn't have
Listen,
to. I
like,
mean, why'd he pick
let me
Trey
tell you something.
Young?
Well, I mean, they both are like I said earlier. I don't think he was here. They were clutch clients, and they work out sometimes. And I'm quite sure they kind of have some conversation going on because Trey be out in L.A. a lot. He be out there on that beach running them sand dunes. But nevertheless, hey man, that little fine sister he got with him, boy, done put a spark in Lonzo. I can see it. She done she done pillow talked him that he think he the greatest player in the world right now.
He ain't on
Lonzo
the
is an
court.
all-time high
I,
when it
I,
comes
I,
to confidence.
if I was him, I wouldn't listen to that because right now he ain't on the court. Then it's like hold on, you know what I'm saying? Because he was great, you understand me, before that even took place. But now it was suddenly that took place. He ain't been on the court lately, so a lot of people can get used to a lot of things. They can get comfortable in a lot of ways. But like I said, once you got an injury, if the injury is legit, you got to get over that injury. But hopefully he get over that injury, and then
Vern,
everything else will start working itself out. But right
Uncle
now,
Vern,
go ahead.
listen, the player that you is, Uncle Vern, I'm quite sure the 60-something years you've been on this earth, it's been maybe one, two, three, or maybe more that can tell you something that nobody else can tell it to you.
Okay.
That can make you feel some kind of way when they just say, "Hi, honey."
No.
You feel
My
like you just can take on the world.
Right. Yep. My psychiatrist. She's the
Well,
only one.
whoever it is, it's
Yeah, my
somebody out there
psychiatrist. Because
that
when She's the only one to a certain extent. She can only can read your mind. You know, so your significant other will be able to read your mind, but it's like they can manipulate it too.
Right. Yeah. I don't
You
know if
know,
they can read
so
your
and a
mind,
lot
but
of
they
times
just
with a lot of times they fit themselves into that comfortableism, and then you get comfortable with that. It's like that King Solomon effect. No, he started messing
well,
around. Come
King
on, doing this.
Solomon
He
had
got this wife,
multiple
this
though,
wife, this
Uncle
wife,
Vern.
this wife, and he's comfortable.
But King
But
Solomon had multiple, Uncle Vern.
and all that, who's running the kingdom?
But Uncle Vern, King Solomon had multiple. See, that's a
Right.
different dynamic. Lonzo only got one, at least that we know of. He only got one.
Well,
And this one, he's with all the time. He in that
okay.
beautiful big house up there in the valley. And I think they just having and they travel the world together. So he's having the time of his life off the court, but at the same time,
See,
he
there you go.
always
That point. There you go. Dex with that off the court. See that right there. And I said you don't want to get complacent too much
no,
as a
no,
professional in that kind of understanding. See, because a
yeah.
lot of okay, remember this. Remember because what do I call? You tell me what I call the NBA. The NBA was the welfare league. You can get rich and get real rich off of it. You can just take it easy for the rest of your life. When you look at Lonzo, you look at Lonzo and the decisions that he's making. He has to make the decisions that he's doing right now because he's officially hurt. But then you have the future about after that hurt this, and then after that contract run off. After that contract run off, then you if you still hurt, ain't nobody else put you gonna get a job doing what?
Well, I can say this right here. I understand what you're talking about, but you're coming just from a fan. I'm coming from observing the totality of this young man's life. And he's in good spirits. His chest is out. His skin is clear. You know, Lonzo used to have a lot of acne. His
Yeah.
skin is clear. His eyes is beaming. You know,
Yeah.
uh, his his arms look full. He don't look all scroungy or anything. His
Mm-hmm.
shoulders are propped like a soldier ready to receive his mission. And I know that that's also because of who's ever his co-partner is sharing some good information in the ear of this young man.
Yeah, okay. Well,
And he enjoying every minute of it. Not that he's taking basketball as second nature. No, because
right,
he already have reiterated time and time again that the most important thing that has been told to him as a basketball player
right.
is keep the main thing the main
Yeah.
thing. And
Okay,
that
there
was
you
told to
go.
him by LeBron James.
Yeah.
He always emphasized that.
And remember what? Well, okay, since we on that one, I'm telling you, boy, how you tell you that? You just go right back into it again. I remember what his father told him about the birds and the bees. Matter of fact, he didn't just tell it to Lonzo, he told it to all of them. Look here, be careful, because you know what I'm saying? This person right there, they didn't just read you up out of the box or something like that. You have to look in people's closet before you start getting too physically and emotionally attached to them. You know what I'm saying? They didn't already did that. LeVar did that already with with the situation with the business island, with whatever his name is, with that. So he didn't already put his emotions and everything else. That's the thing. I can look at him like that's a brother, but all the time he was getting snaked and getting bit behind his back. But he always can do that. But it always seems to be like something. You always see it before it happens. And you can see this. So when you look at another individual, they background, who they dealt with. Oh, they dealt with such and such and such was before they got with such and whoever. There's a lot of that going around in life, not just in the NBA, the ABA, and all over the other NFL teams and soccer teams and hockey teams. People just got a lifestyle of doing like that and acting like that. And that's not a very good lifestyle because people manipulate and they use people in the process of it. So if you set yourself out to be going to these games and these events and stuff like that, you really ain't fan of them. You just want to be a fan of the man. You know, that's shopping decks, and that's not really that's hunting. And you got to watch out because you might be prey. That's all I'm saying, and that's what LeVar told him. So that thing, the same thing that make you feel good, you ain't gonna be feeling too good about it. You know, it might be somewhere else. If
Yeah,
you
I
don't
mean, you
believe,
know,
if
we
you,
could say a
if you
lot of that.
right,
Listen,
if
we
you
could
don't
say a
believe,
lot of that
ask the
because
other guy.
okay, Vern, we
Yeah,
could say a lot of that because we older. We
yeah,
done went through the ringer. You follow what I'm
right,
saying? We done been around the block a few times and
right,
had some chicks that been around the block a few times.
right.
So we know they can be darlings or they can be devils. We
Right.
we understand that, right?
Right.
And when we was on that path to becoming the player that we are today, who was there to tell us something, right? Because sometimes we might feel that I got this. You know what I'm saying? I understand what I'm doing, and of course, we don't really understand what we're doing at that young age. We just going by a lot of times feeling and passion, but it's all good. But
Right.
listen to this: Lonzo was a dad at 20.
Right. And
He
then
was a dad already.
at 22, his wife was, his girlfriend was calling him a deadbeat dad.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But this is the same girl,
Yeah.
Denise, that he was dating in high school.
Well, he ain't
So
with Denise now.
I understand that, but listen to what I'm saying. So this was the same girl he was dating in high school, right?
Right.
So when you in high school dating, you ain't thinking about baby diapers.
Right.
You're not thinking about the doctor
Right.
and the measles and chicken pox for a kid. You're not thinking like that.
Right.
You're not that don't even cross your mind. The
Right.
the only thing that you worry about most time in high school is that your parents pay your phone bill and they don't take your phone.
Right.
Now, when we were in high school, well, at least when I was in high school, the only thing I was really worried about is my Intellivision, my Atari. Make sure
Right.
when I came home, I had access to it. I
Right.
didn't screw up where I came home and I can't play my Atari or DJ because I was DJing. I had the two turntables in the mixer.
Oh, okay.
Make sure that wasn't locked up in the garage I'd have access to. So that was my deterrent to bad behavior. Those little items that I cherish.
Yeah.
Now they're cell phones.
Great.
You feel me? Now they're cell phones
Right.
that you can use because I see how my daughter do my grandkids. Take the cell phone, take the tablet. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To use that as a means of a deterrent to bad behavior.
Right.
So those are minuscule things, very small things in the rapidity of life, on the path of life, right? So
Right.
now that he was a dad, 2 years removed out of high school, basically. I mean, what you do now, right? Now, because according to what LeVar told me, his conversation had to change with Lonzo once he became a dad. Because he's not just my son anymore. He's somebody else's dad. So the conversation get bigger.
Yeah.
It gets wider. So it ain't about, oh son, you gotta watch out for these girls, they go. No, it ain't about that anymore. Because you done already did it. You done already popped one.
Yeah. You got a kid over here, kid over there with her mama. You pay for her mama to take care of the kid. You pay for the mama to take care of that kid. And then this girlfriend you got right now, 2 years from now, she gonna have a kid. And then you're gonna be paying for her somebody to take care of that kid because she ain't gonna be with you no more. You're gonna be off to the next one. Go ahead, Dex.
So the conversation is a wider conversation. It's a more mature conversation. Now you're like how I was with my dad when I had you, Zo. When you were my first child, now the conversation with my dad changes. The dynamic and the range of that conversation changes because now I'm a dad just like my dad, and now you a dad just like your dad. Just like my daughter, when she had her first child, the conversation changes because now you a parent like I'm a parent. So now we have to have parent talks,
Yeah.
not father to daughter talks or father to son talks. Now it's parent talk. It's a different talk. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm making myself clear, but that's the best way that I can explain it.
Right.
How the conversation changed once there's a grandchild.
Right. Yeah.
Because now
So,
she has to be a parent. So
yeah.
you have to change the conversation to parent talk and not father to child talk.
Right.
So that's why I'm saying it's a different conversation with Lonzo than it probably was with Jello and LaMelo.
Yeah. Yeah. But I see it like that too, Dex. But I also see it like well you would know exactly because you are residing in the wonderful state of Los Angeles, California. I mean, the city of Los Angeles, California, not the state, but the city of Los Angeles, California. So you understand me that a lot of fast action is going around. You know what I'm saying? And they're in diverse places. You understand me? So then, if you, to a certain extent, if you out there like that, you understand me? You'll try to run into that kind of. You usually run into that kind of crowd. That's the kind of crowd you more or less. You find fascinating and stuff. Not the home girl you grew up with, and the girlfriend you grew up with the school with, all that old stuff went to the prom with. You out and you exploring now. That could be to that was that could be real bad. You understand me? Because you're not using real good sense. To be honest with you, you out there, you are vulnerable, and you can out there, and like I said before, you can get comfortable being being a neutral. You being in neutral. Yeah, you can be comfortable being in neutral, not doing anything, but you don't get no growth being in neutral. You understand me? And then it's like it goes right back to I said, say for instance, he ain't gonna be able to play professional otherwise again. And then I'm gonna see how she gonna be able to boost him up then when it come out to, what I'm saying, if it does happen, how that person, that so-called the favorite thing, the best thing in his life, turned out to be doing it. How long they'll be around there? How long that stick around it? If he gonna be in the bright lights still, you understand me? Because that all comes with it. You understand me? So when it comes down to it, when that decision is made and done, he really gonna need her there. Hopefully she'll be there, and you'll be right. But if not there, it don't matter. She might not need to be there because he can just go ahead and be with somebody else a year before that decision is made. That's how relationships are. People come and go in lives, stuff like that. That's why you don't want to have a bunch of kids running around over here, kids over there, kids over there. Like what's the name? Like the what's the name guy? The what's his name? Carl Malone type guy, and the Sean Kemp's of the world.
John Kent,
You know what I'm saying? That's stupid, Dex.
the White Howard,
Dex, I'm gonna tell you something. You not only is
a few of them out there.
not only is that stupid, that's irresponsible. That's irresponsible too. If that's the case, all them kids to be filthy rich and set on their way in life that they'll be taken care of for the rest of their life. But he running around here with a gun sitting up there trying to rob something. Well, you didn't see it, Dex. I saw it, though. That was pitiful. He's sitting up there with his 6'9" self shooting at people because they beat him out of this. They took his cell phone and some more other stuff from him. And he's shooting at the people. He's stupid. And then he talk about the 7 kids and all these kids he got and stuff like that, but he's still out here with a man gone. I don't get it, Dex. I get it,
Yeah,
but I don't get it.
yeah, he out here with a pea shooter. but
Out there shooting at him in the parking lot.
yeah, but see the thing, yeah, he was reckless. But see, you don't have to. I don't think you have to worry about that with these youngsters. That last name Ball. I think they're very put together, and they use their mental faculties to the apex. Nevertheless, the thing about Lonzo is that he was a forebearer, and that's what's challenging in his career because he pioneered the breakthrough for the big baller brand, not only through celebrity and playing on the court with the Los Angeles Lakers, where you're going to get all the media attention, but as well financially as well. So his association with big baller brand I think, is intact. He didn't mention anything as far as being disassociated with it. Now, he might not just be hands on. I don't really think he was ever like hands on. I think he just trusts his dad enough to fulfill whatever vision that was in his head. And all he had to do is focus on playing basketball and bringing attention to the brand by being the best version of himself in between the lines on that 94 feet parquet floor. And what he was explaining to Trae Young is that not all of that came to fruition based on the Los Angeles Lakers dynamic, where it was a dream come true to play in your backyard and get picked by the team that you cheered for. Because he could have still played in LA because he could have played with the Clippers, right? It doesn't mean that he had to be a Laker. He could have played with the Clippers, but it's still LA. But he actually played for the Los Angeles Lakers, which was a miracle dream come true. Went to UCLA, got drafted by the Lakers. He wasn't number one, he was number two. Basically, the way his dad had put it on track. So if that would have worked out the way it would have worked out, Lonzo representation would have been like it is now, like a Clutch Sports or something like that, instead of Harrison Gaines or whatever his name was.
Yeah.
Somebody that was proven, even though I understood what they were doing, they was keeping it basically in house and giving somebody young and fresh with that's not have been stained by the rituals of the NBA and the agencies, and ushering in a new mindset, a new game, a new direction with Harrison. Because Lonzo's coming in under a different dispensation. You feel me? He's coming in under a different paradigm because he's coming in with his own brand. So to have him coming in new with his own brand, doing something new, an agent who was young, fresh, with new ideas and not operating from the old paradigm, but want to usher in a new paradigm, I could understand the coupling of them two together. But it so happens that since Harrison couldn't get D'Angelo into the league, I think that spelled doom for Harrison and CAA, because you would think that you have to have some type of connections to pull that off, and he wasn't able to get D'Angelo drafted. So that was a bad sign in itself, and I think that's what caused them to part ways with that agent, because he was going to be able to represent all of them. Just imagine that: Lonzo, D'Angelo, and LaMelo. So this guy would have been sitting fat, but by him not able to usher in D'Angelo somehow, some way to get him on a team without going through the rigorous tryouts on a bad ankle that needed surgery, and that kind of doomed him. And I don't know where he's at right now, or who he's managing, or who he's agent of, but I'm quite sure he's still a part of that CAA team. That would have been crazy in itself, but that didn't work out. So he was talking about all that type of stuff in so many words. Yeah, like I said, those who know, they got to read between the lines, because it was only a 30-minute interview, so he didn't go into the depthness of each little question. He kind of just surfed over it. It's like surfing over choppy waters. And I think that's what Lonzo, did, because he felt that story had been out already, and most people know the story. So all he did was shaved over a lot of his answers, and not revealing anything in detail, because the story have already been out there on the market. It's out there in the media already. So those are some of the other things that he kind of addressed in that interview.
Oh, okay. Sounds like it was a nice long interview. I can't wait to go back and watch it. Oh yeah.
I don't think Lonzo knows straight cream puff. Come on, guy. I think you're being extreme here.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's been down. He's been by a great.
If you watch that,
agree,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's ridiculous.
Uh,
You being
Guer-
ridiculous.
Guerrero, if you watch that interview, you wouldn't say he was soft. Um, you said 10 years, 20 years down the line, ain't nobody using the word greatness to define this dude. Well, the story's not over yet. You got to remember that he's still writing his testament. It's not over. I mean, he's still playing out his testimony. Excuse me. It's not a testament just yet. He's still writing out his testimony. So the clock is still ticking on Lonzo. So for you to come to that conclusion, it just shows you that you already biased towards the negative when it comes to Zoe, because he's coming back. And when he comes back, then you can be able to judge again. But right now there is a comma. It's the 773 girl. Remember, it's a comma in his story, not a period. So we got to keep that in mind. It's a comma, not a period. And that's being grammatically correct. But you have already put a period and even an exclamation mark, because the way I feel your energy is that you screaming this. This is not something you politely push forward, 773. So let's kind of pump our brakes on Lonzo, and 10 and 20 years from now, we don't know. None of us are that much of a Nostradamus to even twinkle out 5 minutes ahead of time, because I'm quite sure if you can predict your life 10, 20 years from now, you probably wouldn't be on the stream saying what you're saying right now. So everybody, I think we don't need to be hard or harsh, because we have an opportunity to re-examine Lonzo's ball career to this point. We only played like 250 games. Did he play that many games? 250 or something of that nature. And he's only 25, soon to be 26. I don't think that you can just put a period to his testimony and consider it a testament. I think the book is still open on Lonzo, and the book is open. As we can see, he's not being a hermit. He's not being a recluse. He's out here, outside, sharing his story. And if it plays out the way Lonzo envisioned it to play out, his story will be another version of glory. So I think we should not be quick to rush to judgment on Lonzo just yet, because he said that his rehab is on schedule. Peep that. We at Flight Sports TV already broke the news on Lonzo about his status, and the news that we broke from what we gathered that never went public, that he is ahead of schedule. He was off crutches early on in his surgery, and then a video came out where he was practicing and dunking the basketball with ease. So now we just have to see if he can sustain the tolerance and mobility of his knee during rehab, and if his flexing and twitching gets back to the level where he can compete in the NBA. That's where we're at now with Lonzo Ball. He can do all the things he's been doing, but can he do it competitively? Can he do it at a high level? Because if he's able to do it competitively, he can just do it at the gym playing with the average Joes. That's competitive. But can he do it at a high level? Can he do it at the NBA caliber level? Can he regain the Zoe that was at his peak with Chicago? That is a question. So we shouldn't rush to judgment and trying to crash down on the young brother because he's getting attention, and maybe your player that you like watching is not getting attention. That's not Zoe's fault. It's not Zoe's fault that people want to know his status. They want to know where he's at in his rehabilitation. What stage? So that's not our fault. All we're doing is reporting on our guy. So I think we should kind of calm down. Don't get frustrated. Don't be agitated. And don't be annoyed. Just allow the young man to rehab. And if you don't like him as a player, then, cool. But I don't think you should lash out against somebody that's in a lame duck stage and trying to get back. If I was you, I would be cheering for Zoe to come back. So when your player that you like, that you enjoy, when Zoe match up against him, that player can take over Zoe. That's what I would be doing if I was you. I wouldn't want to wish bad karma on anybody and then have bad karma come full circle on me. So let's cheer Zoe into strength, not weakness. Let's, pray that the brother overcome his injury and he's back on the court competing against the best of them. That's what we should be doing instead of trying to crash down on the young brother. That's the only thing I'm saying. So if you feel that way, please give yourself a chance to have an alternative view and feel a different kind of way. So if you don't like Zoe as a player, like I said, cheer him up, pray him up, and then when he meets your player, hopefully your player can destroy him on the basketball court. That's what you should be doing. I want Zoe to get back. I want Zoe to get healthy. Because when my guy get a hold of Zoe, he's gonna crash Zoe. He's gonna wipe Zoe. That's what you should be praying for. Not that he remains injured or that his career be over before it really got started.
Yep, I agree with that, Dex. Yep. If you have a lot of people that's gonna be hating anyway, for that matter.
You know what I'm saying? It's nothing wrong with cheering your guy and looking at everybody else as a villain. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what makes sports. The thrill, the joy, the agony of defeat, the surprise upset, and the underdog overtaking the Goliath. That's what makes sports. But sometimes we bring in our own psychological baggage and we start crashing on other human beings in entertainment, in which that's all it is, entertainment. And we just get too fanatic. We have to back up a little bit and channel your fanaticism in a way where it's productive for all, not destructive. That's the only thing that I'm trying to say. So we don't want to pray for injury. This is why when you're at the stadium and a player gets hurt from the opposite team or from the away team, when that player gets back up, everybody claps. Because they want everybody to be healthy and to survive the event and come out of that encounter the same way they came in. Because you have to be a psychopath. I mean, a real despot to want everybody to be hurt on a team, and then your team play a disabled team, and you win, and you up here clapping like they world beaters. No, a real sports fan want everybody on each side to be healthy coming in and healthy leaving. So that way, if your team beats that team at its max, it shows the type of character of your team. Not playing or praying for guys to get hurt. That just shows the character of you.
All right. That also, Dex.
Yeah, it was an unbelievable night. Obviously a politicking with Lonzo Ball. We're gonna pull back up tomorrow. We had a hell of a night. Our discussions. We got a lot more stuff to discuss. We're gonna have a lot more ball family discussions and a rare basketball discussions. I want to thank everybody who came out tonight. Shout out All Access. Salute to Uncle Vern. Salute to everybody in the chat. Jessica, King C. You already know. Chuck Morris, Lamont. All y'all in the chat. Peace and love to you all. CWE. You already know what it is. It's Flight Sports TV. It's breaking news on Lonzo Ball. He has spoken.
Flight Sports TV, man. That's my dude. I rolls with him.
You heard what the man said. It's Flight Sports TV.